Hi, I'm Chayla with My Make Studio, and today we are making the rainbow pinata cake. Like, wow! Party time! So if the sticker on your My Make Studio box right here does not say rainbow pinata cake kit, that's alright, you're probably just looking for another video, so go ahead and head back to our YouTube channel and find the video that is titled the same as whatever sticker is right here on your box. But if it is Rainbow Pinata Cake Kit, welcome! There are a couple things we've got to go over before we actually get started decorating our cake. And number one is baking our cake. So I'm going with chocolate today, because that's just how I feel. And inside your box is a box of cake mix, and on the back of that box are directions on how to bake your cakes. So just go ahead and follow those along. And if you're like, but Shayla, I don't have cake pans, no worries, I've got you. When I first started decorating, I didn't have any of the tools. So inside your box is cake pans and also a cake board to put your cake on. So go ahead and grease these up with whatever method you like, if you would like to use Pam, or if you're an oil person, or if you're a butter person, just however you like to grease your pans. It's your cake, you're the one who's going to be eating it, so it's whatever method works for you. Grease these up, mix your cakes mix up, and then bake them. And then after that, for this cake, I do recommend that it be really cold, because we are going to be hollowing out part of the center of our cake in order to make this a piñata cake. So it will be much easier to work with and a lot less likely to fall apart on you if your cake is really cold or frozen. So bake your cakes, let them cool down, especially when you try to decorate hot cakes. They turn into a hot soupy goopy mess, and if you try and carve hot cakes, they just So bake your cakes, let them cool down, and then either pop them in the fridge for a while or pop them in the freezer for a while to where they are cold to the touch before we actually start decorating them. Aside from that, the other things that you will need that are not inside your box are a pair of handy dandy scissors, and then some kind of towel. It can be a paper towel, it can be a hand towel, it can be a kitchen towel, just something to keep our open icings on and wipe our fingers. But I'm going to go ahead and unbox everything from my box and get my cake all ready to go, and then we'll get to it. Yeah! And I'm sorry, you guys. You will only need it for this part, but even like a metal cake spatula or a butter knife to level our cakes. I'm sorry I forgot to say that one, but we only need it for this part. So, for leveling the cakes, what I mean by that is this one is slightly rounded, so I just want to take some of this off to make it less round. Now, if your cake is way more rounded than mine, or if your cake is not rounded at all and flat, that is okay. You didn't do anything wrong. We ship these all over the country, so depending on where you are in the US is going to determine how your cake baked. A lot of things affect baking. Plus, everybody's ovens are different. But altitude, no altitude, or lack thereof, high altitude. Humidity, lack of humidity, even the weather outside. Especially, I'm in Colorado, and especially chocolate cakes do not like the rain here. But just wanted to let you know, if yours doesn't look identical to mine, you didn't do anything wrong. We're probably just in different parts. But I am going to level mine a little bit, so I'm going to pop my cake out. And then you don't have to hold yours up like I am right now. I just want you to be able to see. I'm going to take my knife, and I'm going to get it to where it's just pierced into my cake, but I'm not going in this way. I'm just lightly taking a top off, and then you can either turn your cake while you do it, or you can saw back and forth. And then I just take whatever tops I take off and put them in my cake pan, because depending on how much cake you take off the top of it, you've got quite a bit, you've got leftovers, so you could mix those up with some other icing and save it for cake balls, or you could mix it into some pudding. You can find things to do with the scraps of your cake, or it's just a snack to eat while you do this part. Yes! So that's good. I don't need to level this one very much. So the part that I cut, I want it to face up. So I'm going to take my cake board, put it on, and then I'm going to go ahead and level my other one, which this one doesn't need to be leveled very much either. Perfect. There we go. Alright, and this is also why we have paper towel. I'm going to need to get another one. So, I'm going to fill my cake with the white icing. So before I stack these on top of each other, I'm going to put all of this white icing into this part of the cake. So I just take off the lid, remove the seal, and then it is up to you how you want to put icing on there. You can do some polka dots, you can do some ziggy-zaggies, you can do a bunch of loops and circles. We just want icing all over this part. So I usually make circles, and I like to start on the outside, but if you want to start in the middle, that's totally fine. It's just whatever feels right for your brain. So I'm going to go like this. And I'm just going to make rings until I fill it in. And as I squeeze my icing and it starts to, like, you know, come out on the cake and it's not all in here anymore, you can take the top end, fold it, treat it like a tube of toothpaste. It'll help create that pressure to push all of your icing out. Perfect. Now, if you look at my cake, there's still some gaps here. Well, I'm going to... Did I grab it? Yes. I'm going to take my spatula that came inside the box. I got green today. What color did you guys get? And I'm just going to lightly, like, treat my icing like it's a nervous cat. Like, I've been trying to get its attention all day. It's finally jumped in my lap. I have to pet it, but I don't want to freak it out. I'm going to pet my icing. Let me grab that. Just very, And it doesn't have to be super smooth. I am just covering up the spots where I don't see any icing and I can see cake. The reason I'm doing that is that way whenever you go to cut this, or whenever I go to cut this, the reason we are doing this is so whenever you go to cut your cake, that way there is a bite of filling in every single slice and there aren't any gaps going on. Yes! Ta-da! And now I am going to take this piece, and the part that I leveled and cut is going to go face first into the icing, like so. And if your cake is a little, you might need to play a little bit of Tetris until it fits in there just right. Just move it around before you smoosh it down. And then we're going to go ahead and fill this before we get to decorating. So for filling it, you can use that knife. I know, guys, I'm sorry. I said that that's all we needed it for, but I was wrong. I was wrong. You can use that knife, or if you want to grab a spoon also works. Or even this will work. Unless your cake is like frozen solid, then this rubber spatula is not going to work very well, but mine is soft enough that this will work. So I'm going to, actually, I don't need to wipe it off. I'm going to stick this right into the center of my cake. And if you look, with our cake pans, you have a circle right here. We're going to cut that circle out, and we're going to go all the way, almost all the way to the bottom. I don't quite go to the bottom. I usually leave about this much space. So about where my finger is where I go in my cake from the center. So I like to use the circle as a guideline. Yes. Yes. And it doesn't have to be one solid, you can do it out in chunks. So I go around like this, and then I hook it under, and I take it out. So I am going to save the first piece I take out and set it aside, and then go back to hollowing out more of my cake. And then I'm going to put all these extra pieces in my pile. And I go a little bit past that icing line. Not quite to the bottom, but almost. Yes, awesome. Ta-da! Then inside your box was a little bag of fun. And I'm going to fill this up with all of my rainbow sprinkles. If you would like to save some of your rainbow sprinkles to like dust on the top, go for it. Again, it's your cake. I want you to be happy with it. Or if you have some other candy lying around that you want to put in here, go for it. Like, feel free to put your own spin on this, you guys. And this one is very freeform. Like, next I'm going to go over like what all the tips do, and then it's up to you what colors you want to use to put them on your cake. So like if I use a grass tip on orange and you're like, no, I don't like that, You could use it on purple if you want, but that way you get an idea of what all the shapes look like. We'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. But rainbow sprinkles. And then I just cut the corner. And then I pour them all in. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, I can't like tilt it too much, but. And then that first piece that I said save, so we don't need all of this, but I want a little bit of the top so I can put it back on here. So I'm just going to cut about that much, or if you did not get a pretty piece when you cut it out, just grab some of your extra cake, ball it up in your hands, and then you can pancake it and put it there, and it will be just fine. Sweet. Yes. And there's probably going to be a little bit of gappage, but that's all right. I just wanted it mainly covered. Perfect. So now it is the decorating part. So I'm going to go wash my hands, and then I'm going to show you what the different tips in your kit do, so you can see all the shapes, and then it is up to you what colors you want to put them on. If you've looked at the picture on your box, or even the picture for this video, it's every single tip on different colors. Just crazy party time. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'll come back and show you what the tips do, and then I'll talk to you about how I put the colors on, and then we'll check back in with each other after that. Alrighty, I'll be right back. Yay, nice and clean. Alrighty, so for our tips, they're in the little baggie that looks like this, and I'm just going to take them all out and show you some designs you can do with them. So number one, which is the one that you see a lot on cakes for borders, is the open star. So it's a circle with some spikies. There we go. And then to put them on your icing, take the lid off, remove the seal, and then there's this little white piece right here. Go ahead and pop that out. And then this becomes the coupler ring to put the tips on, which I just think is so cool that it comes with the icing. But I'm going to stick it on top, and then you take the ring and twist it on over it. Now, sometimes the tips like to play tag, and they're like, no, you can't catch me, no. If that is happening to you, it is okay. Sometimes they have a mind of their own. They will go on here. You just might need to move them around a little bit and apply a little bit of pressure. And this doesn't need to be on so tight that you can't take it off, but it needs to be on tight enough so if you do this, it doesn't go flying across the room. And you don't have to cover your cake in all these random color shapes if you don't want to. You can see what these designs do, and then maybe that'll make you inspired to do whatever you want with your cake. I mean, you've got the whole rainbow. You don't have to create this rainbow party cake if you don't want to. Like, you could put a red border on top and have polka dots on the sides instead if you want. You have a lot of options. Like, feel free to put your own spins on it. But I'm going to cover mine in all kinds of different icing shapes and just all the colors. But back to what we were doing. So for this one, you want to hold it a little above, and then squeeze, 1, 2, stop and lift for a little bit. Or you could twist your wrist just a little bit, so it's a very not a like you've got a wand. So squeeze and twist a little bit, stop and lift for some whipped creamy vibes. You could also make rosettes. So how you make a rosette is you make a blob, keep squeezing, come to the side and draw a circle around your blob. If you draw a circle on top of your blob, you're just going to get a taller version of the whipped cream. So blob, come to the side, draw a circle around it. And I don't stop squeezing that whole time, but if you need to make your blob and then go back and come to the side, that's totally okay. Some other things you can do, since we're talking borders, is you can hold it sideways, and I'm going to go, so up, down. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the end of it and go up to make a little border like that if you'd like. There are other things you can do with the tip too. They will end up using much more of your icing, but I can show you what they are. So another sideways is the loop-de-loop. I'm sure there's a more technical term for it, but that's how my brain remembers it. So it's like you're drawing circles while you're squeezing your icing. The loop-de-loop. Or you can do, again, there's probably a more technical term, but I call this the jab. So it's like you're poking somebody while you're squeezing your icing. So squeeze, pull, push, poke, 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 poke. But those are just some ways that you can use the open star tip for this one. The next tip we will go over is the round one. It is just the one with a circle. This one is really good for drawing, making polka dots, or writing things. So if you wanted to write a message on your cake, this is the one that I would use. And if you're ever writing anything in a cake and you're nervous about keeping your letters even and all that jazz, or like spelling them right, you can lightly take a toothpick and trace it into your cake first to make a stencil and make sure your stencil looks good, and then just follow along with your icing. I'm dyslexic, so I use, if I have a lot of writing to do on a cake, I usually do the stencil method. But this is another one. Basically, with all our tips, we want to hold them a little bit above our cake. So you can make some polka dots. Or you can draw something. I'll draw a cat. Or you can write something. Hi. But those are just some things you can do with that one. And then the main thing I wanted to show with this is the round tip is notorious for getting these little points that make them look like little mini Hershey Kisses. If you don't like those and you don't want them there, that is okay. If you let your icing sit for about 2 minutes, it will have stiffened up enough that you can lightly, very lightly tap those, and the little points will go down and it'll be more rounded out. If you try and do it right after you squeeze it out, it's still too fresh and wet and hasn't gotten to stiffen up from the air at all, and it's just going to keep sticking to your finger and making new points. So if that's happening to you, that is a way you can get rid of them. So we have our open star and our round tip. And also inside your box, there is a little booklet, and inside that booklet, it also has the description of the tips and a little picture to what they do. This is just a bit more in-depth than that. Alrighty. We'll save my favorite for last. We're going to go ahead and move on to the leaf tip. So the leaf tip is the one that looks like a V or an alligator mouth, depending on how you're looking at it. So I'm going to put it on here. Leaf tip. So with our leaf tip, we want to hold it like it's an alligator mouth. Like it is going to throw up icing all over your cake. So alligator mouth. And then we're going to squeeze in the same spot. You can either be at an angle or you can be nice and flat. You can even touch the tip end to your cake this time. Just don't do it this way. So I'm going to be level. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 in the same spot. Stop squeezing and pull back. 1, 2, 3. If you keep squeezing while you pull, it's just going to get much more floppy and dangly, and it gets more of like a potted plant vibe versus this kind of leaf. You can also add that jabbing motion into it that we did with the open star to get a big canopy leaf. And then when you have the sideways ones down, you can hold it straight up and down, but it's the exact same thing. Squeeze it in the same spot, stop squeezing, and lift up. So 1, 2, 3, stop and lift. And you don't have to use it for leaves. You can also use it on different colors. And if you make leaves in a circle, and then if you have like a little chocolate ball, or even if you get this round tip and make a circle in the center, it makes a really cute flower. Or you can put it on your red and then put it on your yellow, and don't rinse it out, and it'll be tie-dyed for a little bit, and you can use it to make some fires. So if you have some pretzels lying around at home, you could make a little campfire if you wanted to. But there are some things with the leaf tip, and now, time for my favorite one. My favorite. The grass tip. The grass tip is the best tip in my opinion. It works great for grass, it works great for monster hair, and on yellow icing, it makes awesome spaghetti cupcakes. Like, I love, 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 love the grass tip. So, it's another one we want to hold it a little above. And then you can either squeeze in the same spot, 1, 2, 3, stop, and then lift straight up. With this tip, a lot of people have the tendency to dip back into it before they lift, and when you do that, it messes up your design. So, same spot, stop, and lift for some nice trim grass or monster hair. Or you can keep squeezing while you lift, and it'll be much more floppy. Or you can do it spaghetti style and just... You can also use it to make moss balls if you wanted to. Ta-da! But those are some ways you can use your tip. So, this was my practice icing, so I'm going to go ahead and get my icing from my kit. And then I'm going to start with the star tip. And I'm going to show you how I start the cake, and then I'll come check back in with you. Because, again, you can do whatever you want with it. I like to do the crazy pattern for this one. Plus, I think it's fun when you cut it open if it's just like rainbow and rainbow. I'm a fan of all the colors if you can't tell. But I want to show you like how I get it started, and then it is up to you to do what you'd like. So to get started, I pick out what tip that I want to use first and what color, and then all over my cake, I put it randomly. So I'll go on the top. I'll go on the sides. I'll come in here and put some down. And I just go like that all the way around. I do try to save about this much of my icing just in case when I get towards the end, if I'm like, you know what, I want a little bit more red there. But I do use a majority of it. And then when I'm done with this one, and I've gone all over my cake with it, then I'll put it on my next color. So I usually go in order of the rainbow, so I'll go with orange next. And personally, I like the grass tip on the orange. And I'll do the exact same thing, put random blobs, and I'm slowly filling it in with colors each time. But it's up to you what tips and what designs you want to do with them. So I will be back here in a second, and I'm also just so excited to see what you guys do. Like, you guys always put your own creative spin on it, and I think it's so awesome. So I'm gonna stop talking, I'm gonna let you work, and I'll check back in with you in a little bit. Yeah, and that is it, you guys. High five. Thank you so much for coming today. I hope that you had a good time, and I hope that you enjoy eating your lovely creations. Before we go, there are a couple things I'd like to say. Number one, you're awesome. Again, thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. And number two, if you would like to share your lovely creations with us, I know that I personally always love seeing what you guys do, because for realsies, like, that is my favorite part about this, is that, like, yeah, we all have an idea of like what we're gonna do, even if it's a step-by-step thing, and you guys always put your own personalities into it. And I think that is the best part about decorating cakes and cupcakes that like no one talks about. In my world, cakes and cupcakes are just art that you can eat. And art is unique just like you are. So if you would like to share your beautiful creations with us, you can go to our website, which is mymakestudio.com, and click on the Chef Shayla tab. And there's an option there for you to become part of our Bakers Club. You can upload your pictures and you'll get a certificate from me. So that is an option if you would like. But if you're like, no, you are under no requirement to send us pictures of your cakes. But if you would like to, I would love to see what you did. And while you're on the website, if you want to look and see what else we have, because we have more round cake kits, like we've got a unicorn, we have a geode, and we have a cheeseburger. Or we also have square cake ones, like we have a garden and a beach. Or we also have a ton of cupcakes, like we've got flowers, we have ones that look like food, we have ones that make monsters, we've got all kinds of stuff on there. So if you need a little bit more sweetness and decoration in your life, go ahead and look at what else we have while you're there on the website. And then if you would like to follow any of our socials, all of our socials for Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are all at My Make Studio. So at My Make Studio is our social for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Our Instagram and our Facebook are good places to see for like what's coming up, like if we have any new kits coming up or if we have any deals on any ones. Those are good places to follow. And then if you want a little dive into my weird world, our TikTok is more of that, like what crazy treat did I make this week? Do you want to see how I got this hair color? There's a video on it. Just silly stuff like that, my dog being weird and all that jazz. But thank you again for coming. Like, I hope you have so much fun eating this one, especially this one because you're going to cut it. It's going to be like, bleh! That's what makes it a piñata. Like, by the time I get done decorating, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a piñata. And then I get more excited. So I hope that you had fun. I hope you enjoy eating your beautiful cake. And as always, everyone, stay creative.